Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del challenges the status quo, questions everything, and empowers you to return to your core beliefs to make your life better. If you're ready to hear the truth and get your roadmap to the lifestyle you really want, the next hour will change your life. And now, your host, self-made millionaire, national award-winning investor of the year, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley.
Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. I'm your host, Del Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. With me here today to help us is Mr. Kim McLean. Kim is from Central Texas. He's the multifamily mentor out there. Welcome, Kim.
Thanks for having me on.
Kim, I got a lot of stuff I want to talk to you today about, but some of it's personal, some of it's consulting and so forth. But I'm going to make a little statement before we start, just to make sure that this isn't misunderstood. Folks, my entire life, I've never purchased a home that I could not afford to pay with 1 year's worth of pay. In other words, whatever my income was, when I first started, I had a $40,000 a year income. I lived in a $40,000 condo. When I moved up to making $100,000 a year, I moved up to live in a $100,000 house. When I made $250,000 a year, I lived in a $250,000 house. When I made my first $1 million year income, I went and bought myself a $1 million mansion over in the Galleria. Here's the point I want to share with you before we get started, Kim, and the rest of the world, is that I've never, ever been house poor. But I will tell you something I learned. When I was out there trying, after I started becoming wealthy, to find something to spend my money on, because my wealth was growing so rapidly, I figured I better do something for the enjoyment in life. It's not the money, it's the lifestyle. I looked at motorhomes, and I just couldn't get myself to buy one. The second you buy it, it depreciates down by 50%. And, you park it somewhere. You got to pay to park it. You only use it every once in a while. I looked at yachts. I had friends that took me out on the yachts. Boy, it was fun to go out on the yacht. But, man, you have to park those suckers somewhere. You have to clean them. You have to put gas in them. You have to maintain them. And you still only get to go out on them every once in a while and have to worry about them at hurricane. My dad said a long time ago, it's not what it costs to buy it. It's what it costs to maintain it, et cetera, et cetera. I looked at all kinds of things you could spend your money on. While I was doing all that for about 2 years, I was investigating what I was going to pick as a hobby. Steve Davis decided he was going to take this class on how to build houses, and he went down to Galveston and Pirates Cove, I think it's called, and he built himself a beach house. And I think he built it for like $450,000, and when he was done, it was worth like $750,000, and he just had a blast with it. It was just extreme fun for him. Now, you have to understand, Steve lives in a little 1,800 square foot home that he's had for the last 25 years, 30 years. I mean, he doesn't live in a big house. This was his home. This was his splurge. But what got me about the whole thing, Kim, was that about 6 months after he built the house, and I was sitting and looking at all these things that were depreciating and that were not something you could enjoy every day, here he had a house that went up in value. His toy went up in value, and it irritated the living bejeebers out of me. So when I bought my first $1 million home over in the Galleria, and I got up every single day and was waking up to incredible beauty, I realized that although I don't want people out there to think you need to go spend for a home right now, I want you to be conservative with your home, but I want you to get so rich you can afford whatever home you want is what I want. And even the home I live in now, which is 20,000 square feet with a 20-car garage, 16,000 square feet with a 20-car garage. Even this with incredible landscaping, unbelievable world I live in where it's like you go out in my backyard, it's like you're in a tropical paradise. Even that, I bought at 50 cents on the dollar and have made $2 or $3 million on it already just owning it. Now, here's the point I'm getting to. There is nothing that I have found more enjoyable as other than your relationship with your wife or your kids or whatever, but as a financially, physically purchased enjoyment. There is nothing I found that's better than waking up in the home of your dreams every single day, looking out the windows. And in my yard, I see water, I see waterfalls, I see mountains, I see all kinds of tropical stuff. And now I know you've purchased your home of your dreams, Kim. And I'd like to touch base with you because I remember 2 or 3 years ago me giving you a little bit of a harassment because you were trying to figure out what retirement was going to look like for you and your wife, and you were a little worried. And, you came before you came to Lifestyles, you really had a business that was really a job. You worked in it, and you really didn't know where you were going to retire or how you were going to retire in that job. And I'm giving all this paraphrasing up here, Kim, so we can get right to the conversation. But the bottom line is, I want you to take us from there. That guy that had a job, couldn't see the future, to now building your dream home in a dream location, being married to a dream wife, having dream vacations set up all the time, and still having tons of time to give back to other people and have significance in this world. In other words, you didn't just walk away and become an old man. You are significant to people's lives out there. You're important. And I want to know what it feels like to you so that people out there can go, hey, I would love to become successful like Kim. And so I could have those things and I could still have time to give back. Share with us what it was like just being that guy working in the trenches every day, Kim, and what it felt like to get to this point.
Well, it feels pretty good.
You're the master of the understatement, aren't you?
You harassed me unmercifully because when I first got into this business, I was working in it instead of on it, and I couldn't grasp what it's like to have other people take care of all these things for us and let us, still make tons of money and go off and do fun stuff. And once it finally clicked, then we decided, okay, it's time to make that move. My wife's mom was financially secure and ready to go live life and enjoy it. And unfortunately, she didn't get to. Her life was cut short. But she always instilled on my wife, do this stuff now while you're young and you can have fun. It would have been easy for us to just stay in Houston and continue buying properties and selling and working in the business and all of that. But we decided, no, we need to get away from Houston to where we're forced to live the retirement lifestyle. And so we had bought these lots 10 years ago and decided we're going to build there because we just love this area. It's northwest of Austin. And so we just completed our house day before yesterday. We got our certificate of occupancy. It's right on the lake. It's just fabulous. We're just so excited about moving in, and we're going to continue to gradually move in until the 20th of the month when we have movers come and take all the heavy stuff out of our townhome, and we're going to start living the retirement lifestyle in our brand new home. And we just, we pinch ourselves every day because we just can't believe that this is what our life has become thanks to you and to Lifestyles.
Have you truly grasped it yet, Kim? I mean, I'm asking you honestly because I grasp things in pieces and parts. And sometimes I just wake up and go, wow, I don't even realize how good I've got it. Have you got it yet?
No, I don't. I really don't. We've been capable of traveling and doing whatever we want for the last 5, 7, 8 years, something like that. And we had an old puppy dog, and we didn't want to travel as much because of him, and he's since passed away. And so now we don't have anything holding us back. We can take care of any business we have to do from wherever we are, much like Johnny Lama does. So we're able to travel anywhere we want, and that's hard to grasp because our automatic reaction is, well, either no, we can't do that, or whatever. So we're having a tough time forcing ourselves, but we've done it. We just got back from a week's vacation on a sailboat in the Bahamas. We're getting ready to go to Jackson Hole for a couple of weeks, and so yes, we're gradually getting hold of the fact that we are financially free, completely can do whatever we want, whenever we want.
So for people out there that were sitting back where you were when you had your inspection company, what do you have to say to them to get them over that hump? Because, I mean, there's lots of people listening to the show right now, and every day I try to beat into their mind that I know you're a skeptic, I'm a skeptic, but how did you break your skepticism, Kim?
We didn't have any trouble believing. Before we ever went to any Lifestyles events, I had done a lot of reading about investing because I had been woefully unsuccessful at investing in the stock market. Every time I put some money in there, I would end up losing it. And so I knew there had to be a better way. So I read all these books, and when I went to your first case study, Everything you said made sense. It followed along all of the reputable books that we had read. And so we dove in from day one. I think we joined, going to the 2-day, we joined Lifestyle that very day.
All right, Kim, we're going to have to go there, push us out the back end of this segment. If you'd like to ask Kim a question, our number is 866-945-6565. We'll be right back with the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Welcome back. Now here's some more unconventional wisdom to set you free from the man on a mission to retire America, one person at a time, Del Walmsley.
Welcome back to Del Walmsley Radio Show. With me here today is Kim McLean out of the Central Texas office. He is one of the 3 multifamily consultants out there. Is it 2 or 3 out there now, Kim? I forgot.
We just have 2 right now.
You have 2, okay. 2 multifamily consultants. And Kim, before we went to break, we're talking about, what it feels like to have come to the end of this. Well, not the end of the term, but to be at the point where you've made it.
What do you know that I don't know?
Bad choice of words. So as we look at this thing and we think back now, what does it feel like to be a mentor? I mean, here you've got all this free time. Everybody else might just take it and disappear, and you've elected to give back and help other people. Why do you do that, and what feelings do you get from that? What does it satisfy in your personal psyche to want to do this?
Well, when I first went to your 2-day, and you said something that really struck a nerve with me and stuck with me all these years, and you continue to say it year after year, and that is, I'll teach you how to be rich if you come back and show the map to other people. And you have just changed our world immensely. It's just unbelievable how much different and how much better our world is than it was before we joined Lifestyles. And so the only way I can really show you appreciation and everyone that's helped us along the way is to pay it forward and help other people. And when you came to me and asked me if I'd be interested in being a mentor, I didn't even have to think about it. It was a no-brainer that, yes, I promised you I would do that when I first joined, and that's what I'm doing. And I've gotten way more out of it than I put into it. Listening to people's stories, helping them when they feel like there's, all is lost, or there's no way out of this endless hole of work until you die. It's really rewarding, and I see many people that are wealthy now that started off with a job and had no way to retire. So it's just a wonderful feeling helping all these folks.
Have you had anybody successful come back to you and give you the big thanks yet?
Oh, absolutely. All the time. I get text messages from people that say, thank you for helping us get into this apartment complex or these apartment complexes or whatever. We owe our success to Lifestyles and to your help. And I get that all the time. And, I'm kind of shy when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I go, oh, it's really Lifestyle. I'm just a messenger. But it really makes me feel good inside when they do that.
Well, I was reading this thing the other day about what it takes, the 6 needs that human beings have. And one of the needs, and this is not a want, and this is not a desire, and this is not a goal, it's a need, is to feel substantial, to have something in your life that makes you feel significant. And I cannot say that anything has ever given me more feeling of significance than consulting people personally to their success level. But beyond that, like you said, what I found about being consultant was it kept me razor sharp, because maybe by owning my own real estate, I'd run into one problem every 3 to 6 months. Something would come up, go, oh my, how do I solve this? But being consultant, it was like people were bringing me stuff every day. I had to be razor sharp to have all those answers. Also, it kept me razor sharp on the market. I knew exactly what stuff was selling for. Now, I miss that, Kim, not being a hands-on consultant anymore. How do you feel about that level? Yeah,
absolutely. I just, as I left Houston and moved over here in Central Texas, and I realized how much I didn't know about this market, since all of my properties are in the Houston area and Pasadena. And so it really took a while to get honed up on all the information and everything. So, and it does keep you sharp and keeps you on your toes. I get passives members asking me questions all the time that I'm like, oh, whoa, let me look into this and have to get the answer for them. So, it's definitely helpful.
Now, here's a trick question, okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is a tough one. I've told John Ridgway this a long time ago when I brought him in as a consultant. I said, John, there's only two ways you can gauge your success as a consultant. I said, number one, you retire people, which means you've got them enough passive income that they can replace their income. And number two, they win awards. So can you share with us any of the people that you had a hand in consulting that have either retired themselves or have won awards? I know I didn't warn you of this question, but I just like asking people stuff that I don't warn them of, just to see if they can think on their feet.
Yeah, well, the one that comes to mind immediately is Terry Matheny. He was a passive investor of mine in my very first lead deal. It was his very first deal to invest in. And I remember Terry would come to all the partnership meetings. He would incessantly ask question after question after question. He was really kind of a pain in the butt. And I told him that, but yet they were good questions. Excuse me. They were good questions. And he was not asking just to be a pain in the butt. He was asking to learn. And Terry went on to be one of the premier lead investors, lead syndicators, lifestyles in the Austin area. He went on to win the Austin Apartment Association Investor of the Year and various other awards for his properties. He's the first one comes to mind. There are many, many more after that. I helped John Boriak to a lesser extent, just being a fellow owner and a member of our T&L group, the owners group, and helped him somewhat. Offered advice when asked, and so he's a wonderful example of that. He's just gone on to be a tremendous owner and investor. And many others that I've helped just as a fellow member in Lifestyles. And now in Central Texas, I've helped many people that have gone on to buy their first and second deals. And it's something that...
Well, let's think of the legacy. Really let's think of your legacy, Kim, of helping Terry Matheny. Terry Matheny not only has won awards, Terry Matheny has not only had massively successful deals, multiples of these all over the place, but he brought David Shippey in. David Shippey now has had multiple successful deals, and David Shippey became a consultant and has started lots of people. Think of you guys are on like this, not the second generation or the third generation or the fourth generation. You guys are working on the fifth generation since you've come here of successful people. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, that's an excellent point, and it goes on and on. Yeah, absolutely. You think about the original members in Houston that came in with our group in 2006 and 2007, and all the people that have followed them in and been successful. And it's pretty amazing to think about.
All right, folks, if you want to ask Kim a question when we come back, Kim's going to talk about some of the consulting he's done. But if you want to ask him a personal question or a direct question, our number here is 866-945-6565. We'll be right back with Kim McLean and the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Welcome back. Now here's some more unconventional wisdom to set you free from the man on a mission to retire America, one person at a time, Del Walmsley.
Welcome back to Del Walmsley Radio Show. With me today is Kim McLean from the Central Texas area. He's a multifamily mentor out there. And Kim, let's talk about some of the stuff that's been keeping you interested in actively consulting and helping people change their lives here the last couple of weeks or so.
Well, one of the things that really came to mind when I was trying to come up with the topic for your show was one of the mentorings that I had earlier this week. It's a fellow. I'm gonna call him Peter. That's not his real name because I'm telling his story without his permission because I didn't get a chance to get in touch with him. He's a Vietnam immigrant. If you remember that iconic video of the helicopter leaving the American embassy in Saigon and all the people fighting to get in the fence so they can get on the helicopter and get out there, his family was in that group, and he did not get out. His dad worked for the USA during the Vietnam War, and a lot of people don't really think about what happened to those folks after the war was over with. And he was telling me in just brief summary of some of the stuff that they endured, and it's just really mind-boggling, and it makes you really think about, when we complain about this ache or this pain or this not going right, what these people really endured is just phenomenal. His dad was, like I said, worked for the U.S. government, and so when the North Vietnamese took over, they tore up all his paperwork, which was huge over there because if you didn't have ID or their version of passport or whatever it is, then they would just hound you and harass you unmercifully. And so his dad was put in work camps, I believe he said 8 times in 10 years. And what they would do is they would come and knock on your door every night in a neighborhood and look for your identification. And if you didn't have the identification, they hauled you off to these work camps. So consequently, what he and his family had to do was every night they would have to leave the house and just go hide somewhere until about midnight when they stopped checking to get back in his house. And he couldn't work, a regular job over there because of that, and they lived in a small village, and it's just unbelievably harsh living. And they did this for 10 years, and he finally qualified as a refugee and brought his family with the shirt on his back and nothing else and got to America somehow. And this man is amazing. He scrimped and saved and did whatever he could, and he put his 3 kids, including our member Peter, through college. And it's just the stress of all of that really got to him. And so Peter was telling me how a couple of years ago his older brother died in a tragic accident, and that just kind of sent his dad over the edge. And he had this mystery illness where he would develop a fever only at night, and it kept him from being able to sleep. And doctors couldn't figure out what it was. And so anyway, he couldn't sleep, he lost weight, and he finally passed away. And, Peter didn't speculate, but it sounds to me like just the thought of having to hide every night for all those years in Vietnam might have had something to do with that.
It does sound very psychosomatic, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm sorry?
I said it sounds very psychosomatic.
Yeah, but it eventually took his life, and so that's pretty traumatic for this family. But anyway, Peter went on to college, got a degree, has built a pretty good life for himself. He's working as a chemist. He has a wife that's an engineer. She's also Vietnamese and Chinese. And they're both working, and they have 2 children. And like most wives and engineers, she's not real sure about this real estate investing thing. So he's kind of doing it on his own. Like I said, they have 2 small children. But he invested in real estate before he joined Lifestyles. He bought some rental houses and didn't do a very good job of purchasing them. So they're increasing in value, but he's not really getting much cash flow in. So somehow he found about Lifestyles, and he joined just a couple of months ago. And so now he and I are talking about him being a lead investor and just, talking about where he came from and what he wants to do now. Is just really, it's really inspiring to me.
Like you said, Kim, you look at people that have had almost everything, like the brass ring, the silver spoon. growing up here in America, it always amazes me people who've come here with nothing from other countries understand the value of the entrepreneurial spirit, understand the value of education and being able to get ahead. And many of our, people that grew up right here in America, our friends as we grew up, for instance, just didn't get it. So as he goes into this right now, he's working, he's a parent, he's a husband, he's got some rental properties he's working with. Where does he get the time to work with you on moving up and becoming a lead investor?
Well, he and I met after work yesterday, and, he's trying to get to as many lifestyle events as possible, and he's just dedicated himself to making this happen. He drives an hour each way to work. He's on call 24 hours, and it just doesn't leave him any time to spend with his family. And so he's really dedicated himself to making this happen. And with our help, it's going to happen. I guarantee you.
Well, that's a great story. And it's in the infancy. Let's talk about someone that's gone through that phase that you're working with now.
Oh, you caught me on another one off guard here.
That's what I'm here to do. I'm the interview guy. Remember that. I'm the guy supposed to ask the questions. You're the guy who's got to come up with the answers.
Yeah, well, let's see. I'm going on a unit inspection with a young lady who owns a 16 unit, and now she's got a 96 unit under contract. And she's all excited about that, and I'm going to go walk those units with her. And that buying that property is probably going to retire her. She works for the state, and she's just thrilled to death to do that. We have another one tomorrow that's another gentleman that's got 3 small properties, and he's looking at a 196-unit property, and that's going to retire him. He's thrilled about that. Got another guy that I helped him out on his closing. I helped him sign on his note. He bought a 30-unit the other last month, and he's just thrilled to death. He's already turned that property around and raised the rent's $50 to $75 a month on every unit. He's ready to retire. So, I mean, the list goes on and on. There's just so many of them, and the story seems to be the same with minor variation.
Well, the thing that I was just thinking of as you're telling these multiple stories, and I want to hit you back with this here. We've got 2.5 minutes, so really only 2 minutes. Does it seem that to you that most people grow exponentially? In other words, if they do a house, then they do 10 or 20 or more units, or if they don't do a house, they do 10 or 20 units, and then they do 100. Doesn't that seem the most common to see them grow exponentially as opposed to just linearly from 10 to do another 10 to do 20,
Oh, absolutely. I've consulted many of them that say, well, I think, I can probably get enough money to retire in 10 years if I, buy a house a year, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, you cannot get rich slowly. You really need to do this quickly. And it is possible. It's entirely possible. I mean, you don't have to double your income or your net worth very often to get to where you need to be. So, people are amazed at how quickly they can get to where they want to be. I got a call the other day from a gentleman. I helped him close his first property last year. He said the property is doing phenomenal. I'm ready to look for another bigger one, and I've quit my job and I'm ready to move on. So it's just amazing how quickly it happens.
What's amazing is how easily we throw around the statement, I quit my job. Or how easily we throw around the statement, this one will retire him. We're talking about people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe even 60s, but they're doing this stuff in 2 to 5 years. That just blows my mind. Okay, we got one segment left. You're going to get in and ask him a question. The number is 866-945-6565. If you want to get your question in, call now during the break, and we'll get you in right when we come back. When we come back, Kim, we're going to talk about vacationing. Where's the best places to go on vacation when you're a real estate investor? We'll be right back with Kim McLean and the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Welcome back. Now here's some more unconventional wisdom to set you free from the man on a mission to retire America, one person at a time, Del Walmsley.
Want to learn more about Lifestyles Unlimited and the real estate education and mentoring program? Call us at 866-945-6565. That's 866-945-6565. Or go to lifestylesunlimited.com to register for our free workshop. With me is the multifamily mentor from Central Texas, Mr. Kim McLean. And Kim, as we go to break, I was warning everybody that I was going to ask you the best places to vacation as a real estate investor. I'm going to change that slightly and say, hey, look, I'm a real estate investor. And I know investors that go on vacation 1 week every month. I know other investors that go 1 month, several times a year, all different ways to vacation. Share with us how you think a beginner real estate investor that's getting into his first 1 or 2 apartment complexes should look at vacationing, and how you would arrange it yourself to be able to make sure your business gets taken care of and yet you still have all that free time to take off.
Well, the key is to, like I mentioned earlier, is to work on your business and not in it. You need to trust people that are going to take care of things. You need to hire good people and make sure they take care of them. We, in order to move over here and retire, we hired a supervisor who has 25, 30 years experience in the industry. She takes care of all of our operational issues, supervises all our managers, and we're just very, very fortunate that we have enough units that we can afford to do that. That's kind of the end game, as I see it. Develop or buy enough units to where you can afford to hire supervisors. Same thing with apartments. You want to buy enough apartment units to where you can have a manager on site to take care of all of that. So that's the main thing. Some minor things is around the 20th of the month, you seem to not have much going on. You've taken care of all your first of the month stuff, your partnership reports and all of that. So if you're going to plan a 2-week, 3-week vacation, do it at the end of the month, not at the beginning of the month. And, I have a first world problem with my vacation. My wife is a flight attendant for 30 years. She's been everywhere. So in order for me to convince her to go on a vacation, I have to get real creative. It has to be someplace interesting and fun that she's never been, which that's a very small list.
That digs into your significance, doesn't it? Honey, no, honey, yeah. Thank you very much. I've already been there, done that.
Been there, done that. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, that emasculates you right there on the spot, doesn't it? Okay. Yeah, that's exactly. A tough one. So the back end of the month is the better time to go, and you got your rents in, you've done your evictions, they're done, all that stuff's out of the way. Generally, we pay our bills by the 15th of the month. Is that about right? Yeah. And these days you can set things up to pay automatically. They can do bank drafts, they can do whatever. And so for the stuff that the mortgage, things that are pretty much the same every month, you just arrange those to pay ahead of time, and so it makes life a whole lot easier. I'm an old fart, and I just recently figured that stuff out, or either that or I just got frustrated enough where I just finally decided to go ahead and do it. And it is amazing. I took all my personal bills and put them on auto draft, and it's like a whole different life. I mean, that was a whole day of my life. I'd sit down and pay those stupid bills, and man, it's so much easier now. So I agree with you. I put everything on auto draft I possibly could. I used to worry that they'd take the wrong amount of money, or they do this or they do that. Now I'm just like, hey, it doesn't matter. You can always work it out in the back end if you had to. So that's a good idea. Absolutely. Also. What else would you suggest people do to keep themselves in a position where the business doesn't run them, but they run the business?
Keep talking to people like you and other owners, because you're going to make sure that you're not out there planting flowers at your property. You're not, cleaning units for make-readies and things like that. We were so proud when we bought our very first property, and we went out there and planted the flowers around the sign, and we thought they were gorgeous, and we were having fun doing it. But now you couldn't pay me to go out there and do that.
That's hilarious. You planted your own flowers, huh?
Oh, yeah. We were saving on the landscaping.
Man, that is hilarious. That really is. It's interesting, though. You're right, though. Hanging out with people, really does make a difference. In fact, I think, we have a group of people we go out with on a regular basis. And when I first started hanging out with them, they were all working diligently within their business. Very happy because they just purchased properties and they're all excited and everything, just like you are talking about. And, week after week going out to dinner with me and so forth, I just pounded the living crap out of them so many times. They finally just got it. Finally, they're like, you're right. I don't want to go over there every day. I don't want to do all this stuff. And it's not that you have to. It's that you think you have to. And that's what makes the difference. You have to realize you just need to set the systems up so you don't need to work in your business. And most people have never been able to see that because everything they've done in life was they've got paid for them working, not for them creating something, not for them organizing a successful entrepreneurship, but by working in the business, trading time for money, and that's what they're used to. Well, Kim, I'm glad you came on today and appreciate your time and your story. And I appreciate you being out there consulting other people. We're lucky that we're able to take you from the Houston market and move you to the San Antonio and Austin market. We're really happy to still have you on the team out there. You feel like you're getting your arms around that market?
Absolutely. I just have to figure out a way to keep Doug from doing all the work. He's got most of the members in San Antonio, and he seems to do most of the work. So I gotta kind of wrestle some of that away from him.
Why do I see this little violin in your hand? Like I can't even believe that you're really worried about that. Although I know it's true, but for some reason I can see the Kim McLean I know is sitting there with his flip flops, going, "Boy, Doug, I wish you wouldn't work so hard." Not. So, all right.
Well, Kim, I live by what you always say, Del. There are two types of people in the world, those that work for a living and those that let them.
Those that are willing to work and those that are willing to let them. And you're right.
Yeah.
We're on that other side there with the shirt. All right, guys, thanks for coming in today, and we look forward to helping you more. And remember, we're not doing it for the money. We're doing it for the lifestyle. We'll see you tomorrow.
The information and opinions you hear on the Del Walmsley radio show are those of the host, Del Walmsley, his guests, and his callers, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this station, its affiliates, its management, or advertisers. The Del Walmsley show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Del Walmsley show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.